So welcome to the latest Feet to the Fire podcast. This week we've got Ada Briceño, the chairwoman for the Orange County Democratic Party. Ada, welcome as always.
Thank you so much for having me once again.
So we're here, we're getting ready for election primary. It's a truncated cycle. It's the earliest it's ever been in California. One of the things that came out, one of our first guests was Rick Reef, who was, first thing he seized on was, oh my God, Orange County is no longer a majority Republican registered county. How'd that happen? How did you guys overtake Republicans in voter registration in Orange County? What are the current numbers if you know them off the top of your head?
I do. So we have over 22,000 registered Democrats above the Republicans as of today. So we're very, very excited. It's only 6 months ago that we overtook the Republican registration, and we've been hard at work. You know, the current laws, motor voter, has been very influential and helpful for us, but also, you know, the changes in demographics. We see a lot of the youth really registering with us, and we see in Orange County that the Trump rhetoric does not resonate here. And so those are all factors of why, Orange County has been turning blue. Look, it's no surprise. There have been folks on the ground for many, many years who have been registering voters, who have been talking to communities who typically don't get involved, grassroots activists on the ground that have been helping make this possible. Our clubs, we have 21 clubs at the Democratic Party in every part of Orange County, working really hard at every event, in every conversation they have to register people up and down Orange County. Along with our great candidates and electeds who have been helping make that happen. So it's been a labor of love. Immigrant organizations, we've all been at it to make sure that we accomplish this goal.
Years ago, I remember there was a thing called OCGOV that you guys put together, the VIP. The OC
VIP, yes.
Right. That was the first time, I think I wrote about it back when I was at the Register, that it was the only time that there was our friend Nick Berardino was reminding me about this the other day.
Yes.
About it's a 24/7 registration effort as opposed to having candidates do it as it was in the past.
It's just been, a tool that has been really uplifting in Orange County to have OCVIP be at the forefront of that and be innovators with OCA has been really exciting. And of course, they were instrumental in helping make that happen as well.
You think, has there been a registration gains in one particular part of the county, central, south? Do you see a difference there? And again, has it been a difference having it a 24/7 effort?
So you should know that the 55th Assembly District just turned blue. So that's really exciting. And that's in the north part of Orange County, Brea, Fullerton, maybe not Fullerton, Brea, and so forth. So that just recently turned last week. That's really exciting. But we're seeing places like Aliso Viejo just turned blue.
Deep South Orange County.
Yeah, deep South Orange County. And we're making strides every single day. We're moving. I saw Melissa Fox post. She's running for 68th. I think that last time around in 2018, the registration gap was like 13.8%. And now we're like at 4.3 something. A very small gap now, and we're moving that forward. Every single day, we're being thoughtful everywhere we go. This weekend, there was one small event where we registered 9 people, and so it's one voter registration at a time that really allows us to keep this momentum going and continue our transformation in Orange County.
Now, earlier you introduced me to Lindsay, one of your organizers, and I was kind of like, "Wow, I've never heard of a word organizer at a political party." Obviously, being a union activist for so many years, it's probably something that's central to your management style. But tell me about that, and does that have something to do with some of those gains?
Well, look, we have no choice but to go into areas that we haven't tapped into. And the way we do that is we send trained folks that know how to engage people and have them feel part of the Democratic Party. So we now have 2 organizers that are on staff at the party. I'm very excited. Not only are they, expanding and will help us expand clubs, but reaching out into communities that are typically not, that we don't see at the table at the Democratic Party. So we're opening the doors very wide. We know that when we give a seat at the table to folks, then they participate and they will bring others along. And that's what the Democratic Party, in my opinion, has to do in order to continue our transformation.
Now, that was a big thing. I remember when you got elected as party chair, there was a big debate that many of the activists on the ground level weren't seeing their faces, their ethnicities, their languages represented in the candidates that we are ultimately seeing still. How's that process going?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited because we are seeing a big influx of people wanting to run in November. So we are meeting with candidates in every part of the county. And our goal is to be able to challenge every Republican that is in office. So we are seeing women, we are seeing people of color step up to the plate and want to run. Right now, despite our voter registration lead, we still have 71% of Republicans who are elected into these offices. So all these Republicans are making decisions for people on the ground where the rubber meets the road when we have a majority Democratic, constituency. So that needs to change. And I feel very hopeful, not only that we will get candidates there, but that we will, slowly but surely lift up these cities and turn them blue.
Now, tell me about when you get new candidates, new people on the Central Committee. One thing I've noticed a lot, the Democratic Party and the Republican Party has it as well, are these tensions, factions between what we, let's say simplistically, will call more progressive Democrats, Bernie Sanders type people, and more the business Democrats, the Hillary crowd. That tension has always been kind of there in the Democratic Party. How is it? How's that going? How do you manage it? Is it a good thing?
Well, look, it is. It's not simple, but it's also what gives the fire to our Democrats. Our issues are important. It's not the candidates that we're going out there to vote for. It's our values. It's the democratic values. Do we stand for inclusivity? Do we stand for LGBTQ rights? Do we care about immigrants, and do we acknowledge that they uplift our country? Those values are, what gives a little fuel to the conversation. And that's why there's a little tug and push. But ultimately, we all want to make sure that Democrats get elected. So we may have a little bit of a different way of getting around it or getting to that goal. But at the end of the day, we know that we've got to line up and move forward.
What are you doing to bring out more immigrants, people in the Latino community? A lot of times the challenge there is that even though the issues and others may sort of be there, they don't vote. That's started to change over time. Have you guys put attention to that? Different language materials? How's that going?
Yeah, in fact, this flyer here is translated into Spanish, so I'm very excited. And this has all our folks that have been endorsed by the party and our ballot measures as well. So very excited to make sure that we bring, the information to folks, and we have to work on other languages too. That's important to us. We rolled out this program that's called Harnessing the Power of Women, where we're inviting women and women of color to come once a month and meet with us to see what kind of party they want to form, to have their voices included. So we're being very intentional about bringing people of color and bringing women into the party. But just as a person of color, I think people are drawn to come and figure out what's happening because there are more folks, that look like them. And so it's exciting. There is a big, folks that have been helping with the party structure already are involved. And our jobs are to bring others as well, to complement and uplift all that work that is being done.
Now, what do you guys do here in Orange County to say, what's the Democratic vision for Orange County? When you look around the county here and you talk to people, what's the difference if Democrats were in charge, you think?
Oh, my goodness. So many things. I think it's imperative for us to think about strong and good jobs, have people that are thoughtful about caring about, immigrant families. I think just in general that goodwill in say, but also, one of the big topics that's important to Orange County Democrats is our environment, and being thoughtful about that and having our cities understand and be helpful in that way, and having our assembly folks and, our state Senate folks also be helpful. So environment is an issue that is very pronounced, and our voters are thinking about very deeply.
And speaking about your voters, independents, I mean, that's like the third biggest party.
That's
it's
right.
not that far behind Republicans and Democrats. What do you think? I mean, we were talking earlier about how you guys opened up your primary to independent voters. What's your sense there of how you'll do with independent voters this time around?
Well, I mean, just in the last few weeks, we have seen our independent voters, register with the Democrats in order for them to get a primary ballot and vote for their pick of president. And so we already see that that's working. That it's an area that we have to craft a message towards. We want them to come along and add their voice to what we're saying. So we're inviting them. We're getting a whole bunch of questions, at the office of how do I get my ballot? What do I do? And so we're excited. Not only are people registering, not only are they asking for a ballot if they're a no party preference, but a lot of them are registering over to Democrats. So that's been a great 2 or 3 weeks for us in anticipation.
Now, a lot of my Republican friends will say, I don't want people outside of our party selecting who our nominees are. Why are Democrats comfortable with that?
We feel that we like democracy. We want to have as many people have a voice in the process. And so we think their voice matters. And we think that we're the party that would be more enticing to them.
So tell me about this. What do you think about these races? Like, what's on your mind? What do you think will be some of the bigger surprises we might see?
Look, Orange County, not only it's our voter registration that turned, I think you might recall in 2016, we voted for Hillary. And in 2018, we took over our congressional delegation. So every single Democrat across Orange County is represented by a Democrat congressional person, which is incredible, right? So we're going to protect those seats. That's crucial and important. And we want to make some dents in the state assembly and the state Senate. There are two local boards that we're very, very much looking at, and that's the Board of Education and the Board of Supervisors. And we have some fantastic candidates. Sergio Contreras, who is an Orange County person for a long period of time. We've seen him grow up. He has been very active in his community as a board,
Westminster City Councilman, right?
City council person, but also school board. And he has been serving his constituents for a long period of time, and he has a very robust campaign. And we're very excited about seeing him, stand up. He was a former Disney worker, and he actually worked with me way back in the day at Unite here. So very excited about his candidacy. And folks, we have hundreds of people throughout throughout his district walking and making sure that we put him over the top. And then Ashley Aiken, she's also running for Board of Supervisors. Very excited about her candidacy. She's been giving back to the community for a long time, serving in different boards. And I think she's going to be an incredible representative there. So we have our eye out, and we're really working very hard to make that happen. And then,
in the interest of disclosure, Ashley's dad, Wiley, is the chairman of the board of the Voice of OC nonprofit newsroom. Just a disclosure.
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, and Andy Thorburn, who is running for the board of education, very important seat. It's very crucial that we have like-minded individuals. We only have one Democrat there now, and she's going for re-election, Becky Gomez, and we need to give her friends. And Andy Thorburn would be extremely qualified to hold that seat, and has been running an incredible ground game in Orange County and really helping uplift other Democrats at the same time. So very excited about that.
So State Senator, was it John Morlock is up against, is it Katrina Foley, Dave Min? There's an interesting...
That's right. There are two candidates, Katrina Foley and Dave Min, and we didn't endorse in that race. So, we'll see how that goes.
How did you guys approach that this year in terms of who do you endorse for or not? Did you issue endorsements in some races but not others and stayed open?
Well, there's a process at the California State Convention, and neither of them met the criteria in order to, or reached the numbers in order to get endorsement. So we left it open, and so Democrats across their area will be able to pick which one would be their folks.
You mentioned Disney earlier, and it just reminded me that there's a big lawsuit going on with them these days on worker wages. Remind me a little bit about that, and how do you think it plays into elections? We've also been seeing maybe the Angels of a big stadium play there in Anaheim. What's your sense on those two issues these days?
So in 2018, my union waged a big fight in the city of Anaheim to make sure that if there are developers or employers in the city of Anaheim, hoteliers who have received subsidies, that they would, compensate their employees a certain amount of money per hour.
That's just asking like the state minimum wage, right? Or
I think it was $15 an hour. And however, Disney has not complied with that, and we're challenging them in court right now. We have a lawsuit open, and we're moving that forward as we speak. And it's a very sad day in Anaheim. It's been a very sad year. It feels like 2 years, but how long has Sadhu been there? For a little while now, right? It has been it's devastating to see what happened with the sale, of the stadium. And we're not thinking that these lands belong to their communities. And, they're not for the city council to give away. They're the fiduciaries for these lands, and they belong to communities. They should be in communities' hands. And it's a very difficult thing, but we have our work cut out for us in Anaheim, and we're hopeful that in November, we'll have some different results, and we'll have folks that will care about their communities and not multi-million-dollar people or corporations.
Same issue in Willowick Golf Course, right over in Santa Ana.
The same thing. The same exact thing. It's directly related. And, Orange County, lawmakers should take into account that when we have these, lands, that they belong to the people, and that we should be thoughtful about that we're not giving that away or selling it for nothing, right? That it's an actual asset of the community.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. Again, in this race, it seems like a lot of times President Trump is the best organizer that you guys pretty much have on the Democratic side. But again, in Orange County, when you're walking these districts, what are you hearing from people? What do you think is going to be moving Democrats and independents to the polls?
Well, Trump is definitely doing that for Democrats. That is definitely the issue that is in people's minds, and we have a fantastic opportunity having him on the ballot. With these local races, I think he will bring out our Democrats to the polls, and we're working hard. I want to tell you about an action that we had this weekend to promote, people voting. Everybody has their ballots now. It's in everyone's home, whether or not you ask them to send you one. I love this system. We should not wait to vote. We should vote right away. The ballot is in our hands. All we need, it'll take 2 minutes to vote. You can go online to the Democratic Party's website. We have recommendations there. You don't even need postage. And so we're enticing people up and down Orange County to vote. The sooner the better. Don't wait until the polling places open. Do it now, or the voting center, right. Voting centers open. Do it now. Let's get it out of the way, as many people as possible. And so this weekend we had, amongst all our clubs doing a whole bunch of walks and phone banks and postcard writing. The Democratic Party, along with Unite Here, my two the two organizations that I work with, held a ballot party right outside in the middle of two big hotels that we have in Anaheim. And we had candidates come and we registered voters and we picked up, ballots. We taught people how to vote, picked up ballots. But most importantly, we had one-on-one conversations with people about who those candidates were, gave them sample ballots to take home to entice, if they can't vote, to entice their kids to vote. And if they can vote, to take their ballot right away and mail it as soon as possible. So we talked to about 600 people on Saturday, and mostly, folks that are sometimes not involved in voting. And so we saw a lot of first-time, second-time voters. So very excited about that. And registering them is also crucial.
How's this new system different than in past years? I mean, I remember just a couple of election years ago, we had, 8:30 at night, long lines around polls. There's always the concern about where polling stations are at, whether they're open long enough in working class areas. What's your sense of the latest changes? Will they all work towards Democrats? Are there any aspects about it that worry you?
Yes, I think, number one, I just want to say that I think that Alex Padilla has been doing an incredible job,
Secretary of State
the Secretary of State, to make sure that more voters are engaged. However, any change is difficult. Sometimes change for just human beings is difficult. But for the Latino community, we've got to educate them because they were all already entrenched on a particular system. And now we have to educate them on what they have to do. What I find, the best is that people already have their ballots. So we have a longer period of time to knock on their doors and to talk to them about it right there and have the ability to pick it up, right? So we're sure that person is definitely going to vote, right? Because we're taking it right at the moment. The fact that there's no postage necessary is also another factor that makes it easier. And the fact that the voting centers are going to be open not only on election day, but quite a few days before election day. It gives us an opportunity to give people rides on many, many different days and get and touch more people.
Have you guys geared up for that in a sense of with materials that you need to do that?
I think there's all kinds of things happening with our clubs. Our 21 clubs have been thinking about this in their respective areas. And so there's different strategies that are being implemented in different areas, depending on what works for folks, right? So I've heard that, there's places that are going to have a little bus available to go pick people up and take them to the voting site. I've heard, different people making plans and they have their cards saying which day they're going to go vote. So they've written down the time and place and people will call them ensuring that they're going to go vote. Just all kinds of different things that I think will help in the different communities.
What do you think will be the biggest surprises coming out of the March primary? What do you think you'll be looking at people and going, I told you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm feeling really optimistic about both of the Board of Supervisor seats. And I'm also feeling, very, very good about Andy Thorburns' race as well on the Board of Education. I feel like he has a very robust campaign and we can take this. So really looking tight at those three races and being very hopeful that we will do well there.
Now, a lot of city council races will gear up for November, not so much this race.
That's right.
What's your sense there? The big critique historically of the Democratic Party is it's focused more on national elections here in Orange County than the local stuff. What are your sense there?
Not this time. We've been organizing for a while now. We took a little break because we're now focusing on the March elections. But I've been meeting with candidates up and down Orange County already. Our organizers are going to be out there recruiting people where we may not see someone coming out in the forefront. And so we're training them. We'll have a training in April. We're teaming them up with other electeds in Orange County that are, already have won to make sure that they become successful candidates and that they can launch real strong campaigns in November. I'm super excited about the possibilities there. We have a lot of open races. We have a lot of candidates, but we still have more to take. And somehow, for some reason, we don't feel like we're equipped. Well, I can tell you that, we should, if we're thinking about it, people should call us. We're getting a whole bunch of calls, and we're just saying, help us out with help us out with a March 3rd campaign, and then we'll talk about your race. So we're putting them to work right now so they can see the process and they can be successful on their own.
Awesome. Ada Briceño, Chairwoman of the Democratic Party, always appreciate you coming on to the podcast, engaging. Stay tuned for more podcasts, more personalities, and we'll see you at the primary.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.